Is it happening? Is it Friday night? Are we all together in the same place at the same time, having just had an amazing walk down on the beach together? And I'm just getting everything sorted out here. All right, Allison is in the house. Oh, Boot, thank you for joining us. We missed you over there on the premiere. Melissa or Ma is in the house as well. Cody's here. Mr. Joshua's Journeys is also here, and welcome. It's good to see you. Lisa's here. Chris is here. Rufo's here. Taking a little break, I guess, from the shiny shinies. Thank you so much. And Bob's Rocks says we are live. Yay! I love Fridays. I love hanging out with you guys. This is great. Let's see. So Kirk is in the house. He found us after the premiere. Thanks for all of you who joined in at the premiere just now. That was really fun. If you are seeing this later, then you can go check out the beach hunt that I just released, and you can see what we're going to play with here under the microscope and whatnot. So this is kind of like a two-part wham bam. Ripple Rocks is in the house. Thank you for coming. Spot is here as well. Good to see you, Spot. That was Spot, wasn't it? Yes, it was. That's funny. I just recognize people from their icons. I don't even need to read. Jeff is in the house. Thank you for joining us, Jeff. It's good to see you. Did I already say hi to Randy? Randy's here. So must have connection. Sean is here. Thank you for coming. Rocky Mountain Bear is here. Hi diddly ho, he says to the neighbors. And it's awesome that we're all neighbors. Won't you be my neighbor as well? Annie, yay! Bonjour, Annie Menard. It's so good to see you. Madame. Chris is, did I already say Chris? You know, I start, I'm going to loop myself. If that's okay with everybody, we'll just go ahead and say hello to each other all evening long. It'll be awesome. Tiger Eye is also here. And so I wanted to really quick do a little bit of housekeeping, and then we'll go straight to looking at some of the scores that we made. And a few of you were asking, and I finally got my double crown. I was twice coronated as queen on Tuesday, thus wrapping up like this whole sort of dental ordeal from the last several months. And so like I think for the first about 6 months I can chew on the other side of my face and all that kind of stuff. So I am so stoked to have that out of the way. Just generally answer the question instead of doing it personally to those of you who had asked. And then I did, in fact, go to Fossil Fest. So some of you were asking about that. That just happened last weekend in Newport. And actually, NARG, N-A-R-G, the North American Research Group, is doing some mini videos from there as well. And so if you're interested, they have a Facebook page, and they're awesome. And I did actually, I should be wearing the shirt that I got. I got an awesome shirt. I belong. And then I got some Paraloid, you guys. I'm so excited. So this is the proper thing. You know, it looks like maybe a substance that you don't want to get caught with in your car, but it's actually a stabilizer for your fossils. And so you put it in acetone and you brush it over the top of the bone or the crab. You probably have seen Mam Lambo use it if you keep up with his videos. And then you can put it in the acid, and the acid doesn't bite the parts that you put the Paraloid on. It is a preservative, and it's archival. And so I'm very excited to be having quite a bit of it now. So some of the fossil prep can commence on. If you've been watching the channel for a while, we've got some videos of some rather bone-filled fossils that need to get prepped, and I was kind of waiting on making sure that I had the right tools and preservatives, and so I'm like part the way there. And Mr. Rocker's neighborhood. Thank you, Rocky. Yes. That's it. Total Walton's moment as well spot, right? Like everybody is always saying hi and good night to everyone. Night, Jim Bob. And so Cynthia Foss is in the house also. Thank you very much for joining us. And so we will be preserving some of this stuff with the B72, and I'll be showing some of that in videos. We're not going to do any of that tonight because I just didn't feel like huffing any acetone this evening, and I'm going mask free. So it was one or the other. But, watching me, just brush, I don't know, maybe that's like what is it, ASMR video, like just watching me brush some of the preservative onto the bones and all that kind of stuff. I've got a little bit of that actually in a different way set up for you this evening. So yeah, we did go to the Fossil Fest, and I also got some pretty interesting video. I visited our good friend Kent, that is the big bone daddy king of killer finds here on the coast, and so we get to see some of his recent finds. And he was the one, I alluded to it during our preview, or the premiere rather, of the video. He found this huge piece of turtle. I mean, it's a big piece of turtle for turtle fossilization standards. And so that's in the video, and it's in the can right now getting edited. And so I will hope to have that for you next week. And it will go along with not only Fossil Fest, but also a rather exciting beach hunt with some exciting finds. And so that's just a little a little tantalizing tidbit to bait you for that. Paraloid, species of creature known for being paranoid. Right? That's funny. Yeah, it could be. There's a nomiker for me, caranoid. And so the paraloid for the paranoid paranoia. Yeah. So anyways, so the video is coming soon. Diane is in the house. Good to see you. You found us over here too. I'm making sure to try to say hello to everybody, and of course, catching up with everybody's comments, like the ASMR acid wash. Sounds, Sean, that sounds like a radio bit that I could have done. Like I love doing the night the night shift when I was a DJ, and that would have been, acid wash would have been a thing for sure. And so as far as videos go, I'm trying to do the housekeeping really quick here before we move on. Allison did a wonderful video for a live stream during our Valentine's Day, and she had people up and dancing and stuff like that. Go watch that. It's a fun time. I loved catching up on some of Jeff or J and V Rockhounding's videos. I got started with a UV one, and then I had to go on to the Florida Rockhounding one that he made just an incredible number of finds as far as the shells and the fossil corals and things like that. So go check those out. And I was hanging out on a live stream that Rufo was having, Rufo Tris. And then Allison jumped in on the live stream. I mean, our minds were blown. It was so great. He plucked somebody out of the audience too. And then we were looking at a bunch of the cabochons and things that he was shining. He's doing that right now. And so go check that out to see the topaz and the cabochons and the rough material that he had available, because he's been doing some live sales. And so go check that out and support him. And then lastly, but not leastly, Ma'am Lambo, who actually saw the video that I posted, that little short with the Coprolite. He was like, "Is that a crab?" So the king of the crabs, all the way from over there in New Zealand, was like, "Oh, so hoping that I was finding a crab." And we're going to look at that actually under the microscope this evening to see what it is. But you guys kind of already know. And so it was very nice of Mornay to be rooting for me. That concretion, this guy. So you can see, actually, I wonder if you guys can see my cursor at all, but there's those two lines that are going back and forth, kind of like that thing is like looking at you and smiling at you. There's the two lines. Those kind of indicate like that you might be having like a big bivalve. And then there's definitely some kind of shell material that has worn off of the part that is like breaking away at the top of the thing. And you can see that there's also some part that's breaking away at the bottom, but it's a little symmetrical. And so that made me like, oh, at first I just thought, oh yeah, that's just like a big, huge clamshell. Nice, whatever. It's trying to come out of the wall. And then I was like, or that's not. It might be something a little beefier. And of course, the shells on shells and the shells on crabs can be fairly similar when you look at them. So I don't know what that was exactly, but let's see. Where did I find the B72? Bob was hunting for some. Okay, so you can get B72 from some of the museum supply stores. And even Ken, you are a mod. You might, I think that the science supply store that we were talking about has it. And so a crabolite, a crab creation, right? Says Ken. But back to the business at hand. Finding the B72, like, yeah, it can be challenging, but the science in the museum kind of warehouse style supply stores online are kind of the place to get it, unless you would like to get it from NARG, which I could probably hook you up with that. And they're supplying these little bags. Let's see. I think on my little information sheet, it says, okay, let me go back to this. This is worth it. Wait, no. Okay. So here's my bag. And this is two jarfuls. Basically, you're supposed to add half of the packet to a cup of acetone in a glass jar. And so I think it said somewhere on this card like exactly how much, but as far as how many ounces I'm looking at. But yeah, you can imagine, so if you've got a cup of acetone that this is dissolving half of this into, that's going to go a fairly long way. Now, I have some rather large concretions. I don't know if you guys remember, but I've got the what looks like the scapula of a pinniped and lots of ribs and that sort of thing. I need to cover all of that before I start an acid bath. And after I'm done with the acid bath, I will probably also go on to doing either an air scribe prep or the micro abrasion. I'm not sure, probably more like the air scribe, because I think our matrix is so darn hard. Here's just like, I think this fossil we might've been looking at last time. And this is kind of a yard sale, but this fossil material, or rather matrix material, is really, really, really hard. And sticky. And so you kind of prepping and loosening it with an acid first, and then preserving all the parts that are slowly being revealed by the acid with the B72, and then following up afterwards with the air scribe. And then you want to cover everything with the B72 at the end, because it is the preservative. And so let's see. Allison is asking, is it crabs? Because we were chatting yesterday. Is it poops? So we'll see. It's a rock chunk, says Randy. And so and Cody is guessing a crab as well. Oh my gosh, you guys are like unanimously guessing crabs. And what's funny about this is that I don't know if you noticed during the video, if you were watching it, but that was a -1 foot tide. And so you don't really get those very often. You get those during the king tides. And, occasionally when we get like super low tides, it's super exciting. If it goes past a -1, you're seeing a lot of our reef. And that's how come we were seeing that. And that's why we were having such cool tide pools out there. And so I'm gonna need to wait until there's another minus tide like that, and hope that it hasn't come out of the rock, and hope that the sand hasn't changed where it is too. Because one of the things that happens is that you can imagine the seafloor right before it gets to the beach changes where all of the tide or the sand distribution is. And so sometimes you have a bunch of rocks and we have a lot to find. And then other times there's just a bunch of sand. Like a lot of you have come to the Central Oregon coast and gone like, it's a bust. You're liars. All your videos are, some kind of like magic and put on or whatever, because all I saw was sand. And it's because during the summertime, the sand actually gets moved in by the tide and the currents. And during the wintertime, the sand actually gets moved out. And it's from the storm and the way that the currents are going, and all the rain and all the things that are happening help the washouts happen. And that's like our vernacular to call it a washout, or you're seeing gravel and reef. And so that might be right at this very moment in time already packed under, like, say 6 feet of sand, because the ocean works really fast. You'd be amazed. This place changes so fast. And a lot of people also ask me, oh, okay, so what beach was that, so that I can go there and I can find those things. And it's going to be just exactly the same way that was in your video. And that's just not the case. And so I do like share locations as far as general locations, but really what you're looking for if you're coming out to the Oregon coast to go rockhounding is where are the rocks showing. And that's going to change every day up and down the coast at all the different beaches. And so, like, especially in comments on videos, I don't like to say, oh, it was here or there or the other place, because it's unfortunately it's misdirecting some people. Like they think that they're going to then go there and it's going to be perfect and just like that. And so let's see, I'm just catching up here really quick. What beach are you on? Right. I was hitting northern north of Newport for these. And, like I said, it changes all the time. South of Newport was better earlier, like a few weeks ago. And so we literally, the locals will drive up and down the coast, kind of like the surfers, you overlap with those guys. Like, where's the good surf? It's not a gimme, any place, even if there's a place that's a known good surf spot. Like, well, it could be crap one day, and then you drive down the coast a little and, oh, well, here's where it's happening. And that's kind of the same way. And so I always tell people that are coming out this way, be prepared to just spend a little time driving. I mean, get some coffee and do the dawn patrol like a vulture. Watch the tides, make sure that your tide is going out for us here on the Oregon coast, you know, so that you avoid the sneaker waves. And have a look at the place. And you know, if you drive to the places that, like, okay, so I can look at a map and I can see where the outlets for water are, and those will wash out usually faster, because if you've got a river or something like that, you're probably already looking at river rock, and then, you know, a lot of times those will just widen out and show more gravel. And so yeah, it just takes a little looking around, but that's what we all do too, you know, as far as the locals go as well. Um, and Rufo is over here talking about a potential graveyard point meetup. That would be fun. I'd try to hit that if it works, for sure. And let's see, where we're looking down the line, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm not missing anything. One good storm and it'll probably all be gone. Yeah, and actually, Cody, what's interesting about that, and let me do that, is let's see, boom. So even just the mild manner of a normal ocean. I was again just talking to Kent over at the Fossil Fest, and you know, he was talking about it being good for a little bit, and then, you know, the sand was just coming in, and so washed out, showing gravel for at least my stretch of coast nearby is not normal. And so it's like some places north of us and some places south of us show rocks all year. And that's great, but we don't. And so Mother Nature kind of, like, it feels like there's this constant flow of like, oh, it's going to get sanded over. That just seems to be the way that it is for us right now, without going into too much detail about like the gyre that's just off our coast and all that. And so, yeah, you know, one good storm could definitely do it, or wipe a beach clean and you had checked it the day before and there was sand everywhere. And then boom, like a day could make all the difference in the world. And you go out there and you're like, oh my gosh, like there's gravel everywhere and it's a weekday and I'm the only one. So it happens both ways. Or there was sand everywhere and you go the next day and it's all gone. And you had the day of your life the day before that. And yeah, and you're like, oh, I'll just get to come down tomorrow. It's no big deal. Or, you know, it's like raining cats and dogs and it's, you know, a bad, dangerous surf and you don't dare go down to the beach, because there's that as well. Chasing mavericks. Yes. Yes, Rocky, it's the same. You know, we get our big guns out, you know, see if we can have somebody tow us in onto the gravel bar. That's what we do. Yeah, definitely waiting for our big rock season here. And so Sean was just talking about absolutely loving driving from Medford up along the coast to Seattle. So many wonderful places to stop along the coast. This is so true. And so, yeah, it's just all about just getting out of your car. There's plenty of places on the cliff sides to you know, take a good look and see what's down there on the beach. Is so beautiful. All right, and so we'll get on with this thing. I actually started to show you, we had this guy here. And so I'm really interested, like a bunch of you totally felt like that was a concretion. And then we found that went by pretty fast, but this is an agatized spiral shell. And so probably one of the Calicantharis carlsoni shells that I have the habit of finding quite a bit. And they will fill up. So we are looking at a trace fossil or a steinkern. I don't think we did a proper cheers at the beginning of this evening. So cheers to you and yours, steinkern. But this is an agate filled steinkorn, which is super cool. A trace fossil that slowly but surely, like the everlasting gobstopper, that silicate soup filled up the void inside the shell. The shell slowly wore away, the agate being much harder than that, stayed there, and we have this fantastic fossil. And so we actually can take a little look at that underneath the microscope to see if there's anything interesting to see there. And then you guys got to see our lovely vert that we found down on the beach. What's facing us right now, after the little hourglass, like, you know, the kind of Black Widow matrix material that we're looking at there, are the facets of the bone. And then my fingers, my thumb and pointer there would be on where those processes should come out. And so I think, yeah, there we go. So those knobby bits that come out from the sides are the processes. And a lot of times, if they were there, they aren't anymore because of the tumbling. I said it in the video. The ocean is the best tumbler that I know of. And, you know, so sure enough, a lot of times those get chewed off. But also Spot and some others were referring to, you know, where on the spine would be some of the smaller ones. Well, up towards the top of this picture, you can see how there's less facet and process to the ones that are higher up on the spine. And so it could also be one of those. There are little nubs, so you know there were processes there at one point. And then Vujade. I'm seeing double. So the wallpaper and this slide are of the petrified wood that we got a chance to see. We can check that out really quick under the UV. We can do that in a second. And I just wanted to point out that really interesting lattice there in the center of the slide. That could be diagnostic for what kind of wood we're looking at. Plus those, like I pointed out in the video, those oval straws, you know, those were probably through and through passageways on the right-hand side that are now permineralized with some silicates. Those could be showing us what kind of wood this is. I'm super hoping for palm. And so I just need to do a little bit of research so that I know what I'm looking at here. And so something looked like wax Coke bottles to to Randy. Interesting. And Allison likes the bones more. Yeah, I kind of am partial to the, you know, bones are super neat because, you know, it was like what we find here are mostly mammal bones. And so, wow, you know, that was like a really complex creature that I'm finding, you know, a little bit more so than a bivalve, you know, if you find that, although I'm not about to be throwing shade on shells or anything like that. All right. And so Rufo was like, I've been watching for almost an hour on the phone. I should switch you to the big screen. Thank you. Poor phone is trying to be all maxy on you. And is this your x-ray? That's funny, Spot. I don't know. Did they use you for the spine illustration? And let's see. Some of us are older and remember them. The Coke bottles. All right. And we're talking about flats. Oh boy. Yeah. Any of you all that are venturing out to Glass View, definitely bring your fix a flat for sure. So there's the petrified wood. We'll be looking at that under UV because I think that Allison had talked about that. And then we have the coprolite. And so this little guy, you probably saw the short video, and it started off on the left looking like that. And, you know, I still, even if there's just a lump of something in a concretion, I don't try to jump to any conclusions, because it could be a part of a crab or something like that. And my hopes are always very, very high. And then we have the actual dunking into the vinegar on the right hand side. And so I actually will treat you to this. That is the vinegar going into the jar. And what I think is really fun about watching this happen is you can see all of those bubbles that are created right away, and it goes fizz immediately. And so any of you that play with like the muriatic or anything like that know the joy of this, because there's something kind of exciting watching acid, you know, take a bite right away. I grew up in a household with a mom, she's probably out there, that was an etcher. And so it was always like, don't go into the kitchen, you know, she's biting the zinc plates with the acid and it can burn your hand off, type thing. That was my childhood. And so you know, I don't have any problem dunking something to bite. Where am I going? Oh, I want to get that off of the stage is what I'm trying to do. And okay, so we are going to start there, because I know that you guys have all been wanting to have a look at this. And so I actually started that on Valentine's Day, and it has absolutely no relevance to that. Wasn't like I was trying to be cheeky. Let's turn on the light for the microscope, and we'll get this out of the sauce, because I really didn't want to have to reach in there. You know, if you breathe this stuff too much, it'll put you off of your oil and vinegar dressing, you know, the fossil vinegar water. Should have actually had some water to stop it over here. The next step, when you, hold on just a sec. The next step, when you have something in acid like this, if you want to stop it, you know, you can always like dunk it in water, and baking soda is also a stop for an acidic bite. But if I was like trying to prep this right now, I would have a toothbrush and water out, and I would be taking off as much of what was loosened by the acid as possible. And so that's one of the methods of getting rid of the matrix off of the fossil. Now, what's really interesting, I'll just hold this up really quick. It's changed the color quite a bit. And so the oxidization that was going on, you saw how dark it was, you know, it was like poop dark. And, you know, now it's gotten quite a bit lighter. And so that's really interesting. Some folks on Facebook had chimed in on what they thought. Oh, no, fell down. Don't worry, I have carpet. It's not broken. I'm just going to bend over and get it here in a second. But some people were chiming in that they thought maybe it was a fossil shell inside the concretion. And if that were the case, then it would have been eaten by the acid. And so what you saw bubbling there were the calcium carbonates, or, you know, the limestony, sandstony goodness that covers in a concretion. And typically what's left over are the materials that don't get bit. So if something is permineralized with silicates, say, or something like that, you have a fossilization that's left behind. And so a bubble cam, right, Ken? Plop, plop, fizz, fizz, says Sean. Yeah, like, I don't know what a relief it is. I mean, if it is like coprolite, then I suppose that was a relief at one point. Watching tiny bubbles form, not at all like watching paint dry. We are so easy, right, Spot? Yeah, this is what we call it. This is the party, man. This is entertainment. Right. Good thing it was vinegar and not muriatic. Yeah, the muriatic works a lot faster. All right, I'm going to get this and we're going to look at it under the microscope. You can run, but you can't hide. All right. And so let's go to the, there we go. Let's get this bad boy up here. Come on. So again, so much lighter. And I actually might want to give that a little darken job. There we go. Yeah. So this is going to be interesting because we're going to see some bits. And I think that with as it's drying, we'll probably see more. So let me just move that over a little so I can see what you guys are seeing. Okay. So here is, let me pan out so that you guys get a reference. Oh, we're going to have to fix the exposure again. Sorry about that, guys. Rookie maneuvers here. All right, let's do that again. There we go. So it's hanging out in my jewelry ball vise. Definite tool for all needs. And how much different does that look? I mean, that's crazy. Oops, I should get rid of that that little rectangle. Okay. So that's what it looks like. And you can already see like bits and pieces, not only in the matrix, but also down in the fossil itself, you know. And so if we were looking at a crab, we would be seeing, you know, what was holding the crab together at the very least, or something like that. And what we're seeing is quite a mishmash of different little bits of things that are interesting, of course. But yeah, definitely more like parts of things. And that's kind of what you would expect to find. I'm going to get way closer so that we can actually see the little bits of things, because I think it's kind of interesting. All of the very, very dark bits that you can see, like that center upper there, are most likely fish bones, like little bits of fish bone. And so I'm guessing that this guy, you know, there's another one there. And towards the center of the screen now, there's like an interesting bit of something, you know, and it just like, you know, with other occurrences of this stuff is whole-ish or partial or more eaten, more digested, I guess. And so let me get that into view and into focus. So there's some interesting anomalies here. that I'll be taking some closer looks at. So yes, I am going to be interested in, there we go, lighten that up a bit. Finding out some of the constituents. Still interesting. Whoops, trying to get y'all into view again. And so one of the things that I found interesting about this, you guys know that I'm into the micro biome as well, the foraminifera. So lots of little good fish bony bits there. And this particular piece of coprolite, that's on the outside, so that doesn't count. A little bit of lint, but that's interesting. You know, that perfect spherical thing. You got to wonder what that was that it ate. So there was not only this layer, but there was another layer. And I'm wondering if I have that for you guys to look at. Nope, that's not it. Oh, I think it might actually, here, let's go back to that. And let's check out this one. Let's do it. Oh, I'm trying to activate it on the wrong, there we go. Nope. How about that one? Okay, there's a profile to what we're looking at. There's a picture that I took, and it's because there's a seam at the very, very bottom of it right here. And I was wondering if that was indicative of something. So we're looking at this, like this is pre-acid. We're looking at the top here, and you can see how different the color is. We've taken off a bunch of oxidized layer of whatever, and we've got this. But there were several seams that went down it like this all the way around. And this is a secondary feature to this. Like they seem different. And so somebody that was helping me with this fossil kind of more privately was like, yeah, you know, this could be something different than this. This landed on this. This could be more coprolite, or it could be an actual other kind of fossil. And so there were these interesting little seams around it. And I was wondering if it was a shell of some kind, like again, like a turtle shell or something like that. And then let's see, is this the one? Nope, I did it again. I'm trying to click on the wrong thing. Okay, here we go. And so here, like you see there's the edge of the one side of it, and then there was almost this kind of like sedimentary glue, and then there was the other side. And so one part was the coprolite side and one part was the secondary fossil side. And in that we have a foraminifera, a forum death plate. And you can see all of these little forums here that died, and some of them very clearly. Like this is like a kind that almost looks like a straightened out chambered nautilus, or it kind of looks like a petrified pine cone. And you know, you're seeing one from the top. These are almost all the same kind, this kind. Just like how you see a death plate that is all one kind of bivalve, like in the video I showed an Anodara death plate. So holy smokes, like there was like this happened and some kind of weird death event happened, and then another one in a sandwich, like somebody mentioned Oreo cookies or whatever before. And so how strange is that? And last time we were under the microscope, I wanted to show you guys forums, but I didn't have a really clear picture while we were looking through the microscope itself. And this is a much better picture of some of them. And I mean, they're just beautiful entities. This is all under about 40, whoops. on the magnification. And so let's see, going back to our camera. So we're here. Does anybody, Acid Rocks says Mr. Turtle Montana, who is new in the house. Good to see you. And a squashed squid, you know, it would be so cool to find something like that because they're very, very rare. So I wanted to Oreo Death Sandwich. Yep. Aw. Sean is 29 watching and only 28 likes. Thank you. Any idea what species of butt this came out of? That's a good question. I mean, it would be a fairly large, somebody, you know, starting with, like, there's an interesting design there. Looks like a bit from something organic. Starting with a large fish. Like, there are lots of large bony fish that could be responsible, that would eat other fish, and then going up from there. I mean, you know, it's conceivable in a coprolite like this that you could find little teeth and all sorts of neat stuff. If you're willing to do the deep dive into the material, you know, just getting our field of view, you know, of course we have the depth to deal with. There's lots of little mountains in here, so forgive me when some of it goes out of view, but you know, we're kind of looking at a hill here, and you know, I swear there's sometimes recognizable parts, like you're like, that looks like a little, you know, shrimp claw or something as you're moving through. But there's so much in that. And I was kind of hoping as we were cruising around here, now that it's dry and a little less glary, you know, what's that? Like, that looks like it belongs to an insect or something. And that's a long something from somebody. Oh, wait, that's some hair. But I was finding earlier on this guy, I'm just kind of moving around a little bit, doing a scan. These guys that look like, you know, worm, but much, you know, definitely, like, there's another piece of lint, worm, but, you know, integrated. And I was thinking, oh yeah, that would make perfect sense that, you know, either there would be like a worm in it, or that, you know, some of the marine biome around it would come and attack it and probably do some eating before this thing got fossilized and along with it, on account that it was probably like some kind of a, like a an ash, like a volcanic event, or, you know, a sudden silt event or something like that that happened that preserved this here in the first place. And so anyways, that's some of our fun, and I'm sure if I find some interesting stuff in this fossilized, you know, omelet, then I'll definitely share it with you guys. The last thing is that I thought it would be interesting to look at under the UV, and so I'm going to turn off the light and turn on the UV. Let's see what happens. So this guy is largely non-reactive, at least where I'm showing it. I've got a few pings, but so you can, yeah, there's a little bit, but not very much, not quite lighting up. I've got a super star to make up for this. I didn't try it first. Let's go back on with that. And there's that hair looking great. Just flowing there. Let's look at, so during the video, during the video, we were looking at the Cheeto or the taquito or what have you. And so this is a little piece of Torito wood, but you know, it's just, it looked like it had a lot of permineralization, and that's why I kept it. And also, you know, it just wasn't that big, so I didn't mind picking up like a little piece of Torito. I seriously don't. It's not like I'm a goody two shoes, but I don't want to over collect, and so yeah, I try to, you know, put the brakes on. So we're gonna look at this really quick, and it's nicely washed out. Usually that's a good thing. Let's bring the light down a little bit and bring her into focus. So there's some of our magnificent matrix material up close. And if you actually take a real close look at this, it's pretty nice because there's garnets and epidote and all kinds of peridot and interesting things in the sand grains. I mean, they're just beautiful. So I should probably pan out so that, whoa, wrong way. There we go. And so we've got what you can see here as far as our Torito wood, the Torito nivalis or shipworm or mollusk bores out in the wood these holes, and then they usually fill up with either, you know, silicates in this case or just the matrix material, and then the wood will petrify. The wood striations are here. You can see that's the wood continuing. A lot of times these are almost all matrix and there's barely any wood left, and that's the case with this one. There's like a little bit of wood left over here. And so you can kind of see like that's the way that a Torito piece of wood gets set up. Sometimes more wood, sometimes more casings, sometimes all casings. Like they will eat all of the wood and it'll almost just be casings left over, which is fascinating. And so let's do this. We'll go ahead and turn it off and turn this guy on. So there you can see a lot of it is lighting up. And we're going to get closer, which will give us a little bit brighter of a light show also. So let's do this and bring it into view a bit better. I promise I will get it into focus. Where did it go? There we go. Okay, now let's try to get in. It's like it's almost too dark in here. It's like it's got to be dark so that we can see. But it's like so dark that we can't see. Let's get all the way in. See, hold on. Okay, everybody close your eyes for a second. We're going to blow you out. There. Just a little bit of light here. Figure this out. Could be that I think my UV light could use a little juice. It's just not doing as well as it could. We'll work on that light show. I think that's worth working on. That's pretty cool. And then actually, let's just go a little bit closer since we are able to see that into the crystals there. So those are all UV reactive. Kind of neat. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dorito wood or Cheeto. Yay, and there was great rejoicing. And then we have the actual agate fossil shell that we found on the beach. Let me take a look at that really quick. It's funny, I did a rehearsal with the Dorito wood and I just had it at a different angle and it looked so cool. And I was like, oh, this is so good. I should have just left it on there. And so you're just seeing a fairly good close-up here of the agate steinkern. Now I wonder if we were to get it a little bit wet, if we could see in. We'll try that really quick. Oreos and omelets would definitely make you poop. Well, we are poop inspired here today. So Rocky Mountain Bear was just talking about, I used to get paid to look at poop, but it was a lot fresher than this stuff. It was a crappy job, but I loved it. That's interesting. I would love to hear more about that, Rocky. That sounds like an episode of like Strange Jobs, right? We need to have everybody together and find out like the strangest jobs that y'all had. And Mr. Turtle Montana is saying that they are currently working on some DIY coprolite, should be ready to go in a couple million years. Nice. I was wondering where that was going. The Frito Bambito Wood says John. Yay Taquito says Lisa. And you know, this is just a field of agate that you guys are looking at right now. So interesting. Mr. Turtle Montana was asking, do you guys know what's heavier, a gallon of water or a gallon of butane? And Ken says water, and Sean says same. Temperature of it would make a difference, says Ken. Interesting. So is da-dumps. I think the water is heavier because butane is a lighter fluid. I love it. Yeah, dirty jobs. Dirty jobs, says Spot, for sure. Okay, let us look at, okay, I'm going to take this out. And I think for this guy, I have to turn the ball vise on its side a bit. That might be too high for it. Let's see if we can get this guy in. Remember this in the video? So let's try it with some UV. As soon as I get it somewhat secure here so that I can let go of it. There we go. All right. I am so excited about this. There is a bit of palm out here. And so you can only imagine back at some point, the Oregon coast was balmy like Baja. And we had all sorts of fantastically fun flora like this. And so let's see how powerful this is for this. Wow. Not showing up hardly at all. That's really interesting. Let's turn up a little bit of the light. Yeah, not a whole lot of magic there, which is interesting. I thought that was going to boost. That was a total experiment. All right, but we wanted to see that again anyway because that's so pretty. I love that thing. And so I'm not sure as far as this piece of wood, if I'm going to try to prep it out and get it out of the rock, or if it's just better this way. Maybe even do some slices. What do you guys think? What should happen? Because if I prep it out, then it'll be mostly the outside. If I actually made some slices, we'd get more of the same of this, which might actually be more interesting. It would just change through the concretion. We'll take a look here at the concretion itself. What would you do? Okay, so this was the Hydrox or Oreo cookie, right? Just trying to center it. And so you can see there's like other wood bits that went through. There's like part of it over here. And then there's part of it right there. Although those could actually be other wood bits. And let's see, does it go all the way through to the other side? Can't tell. So not necessarily a complete through and through, although you can see that there's definitely like a fossil layer that goes through this. So would you just like do an interesting face polish if it was yours and you thought it was wonderful? Would you slice it? Or would you like put some of that B72 on, preserve it, and try to bite through some of the rest of the rock to see like how much of the wood is there? Because those are the, or you could just leave it as is. Cut, says Randy. How did we know? How would have we guessed that one? Slices sounds cool to Sean as well. Oh my gosh, you guys are all coming in with slice it. You're throwing my gauntlet down. Mr. Journeys says slice it. What kind of time do you want to invest? That's a good question, Cody, because it all does take time. Although I will tell you, and here's another question for you guys. How much of what you do in your studio is driven by rationale and how much of it is driven by pure desire? Because I have to say that I find myself doing things. I'm already in the middle of, say, cutting something before I really thought it through. Like, I'm not going to make any money off of this. Like this time is just because I have like interest, a curiosity into seeing inside this stone, or obviously prepping any of these fossils is 100% for amateur fun. I mean, there's never ever money in it. It's only for the interest and the knowledge and the sharing. Obviously if some place wants to show it, then they can, or a lot of the people like Mam Lambo will take his fossils not only to huge museums, like want some of them, but also classrooms for kids to be able to see. So the time investment is something that I should oftentimes be thinking of, and don't as much as I probably should. I thought it was a riddle. Says Kid Curry, who is in the house. Good to see you. Sliced says, Lisa, sliced and diced. Everybody's kind of agreeing on that one. And let's see, Mr. Turtle in Montana, not a big fan of water at the moment. Last weekend, I was out sailing and I had trouble navigating the waters between Russia and Alaska. Oh dear. No matter how matter what I tried, I couldn't get my bearings straight. And that's a very, very funny. And Diane thought that was funny as well. Ken says, prep it and get it out whole. Ooh, which might be interesting. Like, I don't know, like some of the wood that we have out here is more kind of mummified than it is truly petrified. We get some of that like sort of carbon looking wood that you can stick your fingernail in, like boggy kind of wood. And so that might be dodgy, but it might be super duper cool. Oh, Randy says that they hurt turtle. That's pretty funny. Starving artist syndrome. Yeah, Cody. I like, it's in my name. Ozone Fine Art Ventures. Like, I've been a starving artist for a really long time. Like decades. I feel, yeah. 75% desire, 20% mayhem, and 5% plan. That sounds about like the right recipe, Ken. Yep. I commiserate with that. Nice. And Rufo says Sean had the best laugh he's had all day. That's great. And Rufo is about to Dremel dry limestone in his apartment while watching. No thought, just do, clean later. Right? Yeah, I totally hear that. I've started prepping on some of the like Chemer. Oh man, those are dirty, dirty fossils. And I just can't help myself though. Like I'll be sitting here and the microscope is right here and that's what it's for. And there's a lot of dust involved. It's gritty. It's super gritty work. If you go to a proper studio like Kent has, there's actually the sandbox, like the box that you have the armholes in, and that you can do dirty work inside, like if you're air braiding or if you're doing, the scribe or whatever, and the dust stays contained to some degree. Yeah, it's like my whole studio is a sandbox. Cynthia says she would face polish it first. It can be cut later if it's matte. That's a really good point. Spot says, or habit, cut rut, thinking without thinking, cut all things. Yeah, that's a cut rut. And Allison, thank you so much for coming into the micro ozone with us. It's always fun to play Dr. Shrinker and get small and go running around in the gem materials. Randy wants whatever turtle is sipping. Oh my goodness. That has got to be the setup to a joke there, Ken. And Lisa says that she does everything perfectly logically, and her logic says cut the dang thing. So I will. Yeah, I totally thought that was coming, Ken. I'll leave that in the chat. Thank you, Mike, for joining us and liking the Microscope show. Yep, that was fun. It's always so neat to take a close look at that stuff. At least tonight, there weren't any squiggles that moved. Like no rotifers or anything coming alive on me this evening. It's always kind of creepy when that happens, and you always run the risk when something's like wet. Some strange thing is going to be unleashed, like a Scooby-Doo episode or something out of Mystery Science Theater. So with all of that, cheers to you, Mike and Ken and Lisa and Spot and Allison and Randy and Sean and Mr. Turtle Montana, especially with all of your fantastic jokes, and Chris And gosh, and X-Files. Yeah, right. Totally spot. Rocky, I'm sure the thing. Yep, Mike. All y'all out there, thank you so much for joining us, Cynthia and Ken. I think I said Ken already. My mom, I know she's out there still. Cheers to you, Mr. Journeys. Thank you for joining us as well. Steinkern, you guys know what to do. So tomorrow, I'll see you over there on Kyle's Live. Go get your shop on. We will probably be having another video come out sometime next week, hopefully, or maybe right before the podcast. We have a guest set up for next podcast. I am working on a special project just for that. And so that one's going to be a not to miss. Hopefully all will work out. We have been like all the wheels fell off of the cart so far this year. It's been funny with our the guests that we've had planned and things that have been going on. So all good things willing, we're going to have a great guest on next week. And I'll have a new video. It'll be the one from the Fossil Fest. And so you'll see some great fossils and faces on that. And otherwise, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Hope that you can get out there rock hounding. If you can't, I hope that you stay warm and maybe get a chance to play with your rocks in the studio. Make a little sandbox mess if you have to. Kid, thank you for joining. Melinda, thank you. John is still here. Thanks so much. And hit that like button, he says. I really, really appreciate that. And John, I'm sorry I didn't bring you your tea. I promise I'll bring you your tea next time. You like chai, right? We'll have some chai. That's what I was having. And Allison and I are definitely going to need to get together for a live. So look around for that, because that's just destined to happen and happen soon. Tiger Eye, thank you for coming. I think I said hi to everybody. Did I say hi? Yep, Kid and Cody and all y'all. Once again, thanks for watching the video. If you didn't get a chance to watch the video that just came out right before this live stream, go do that and have a wonderful evening. I'll catch you somewhere on these lives, probably again tonight. We'll say hi, but if not, sometime over the weekend. Take care of yourselves. Cheers. You know what's important. Steinkern and rock on. We'll see you next time.